Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Lipstick and Liberation, a podcast from the perspective of a 40-year-old Black feminist navigating the world, politics, art, anything that I'm thinking about. I want to hop on and share with you guys. First of all, I want to thank you guys for coming back. We have gotten so many listeners this past week. It's been such a pleasure, especially since this is a passion project, just knowing that people out there are listening. So thank you so much. If you want to help me store this podcast, you can go to my website, lipstickatliberation.buzzsprout.com, and subscribe for as little as $3 a month. But if all you have are your ears to lend me, I am so grateful to have those. Thank you for coming back. We're going to start out this week talking about some more filicide that happened at the hands of a father who had court-ordered visitation. So, of course, I just want to jump right into it. As with misogyny, so with my lipstick, I always get the shade right. And this week's shade is Maybelline's Superstay Matte Ink Revolutionary, which I think is perfect for everything that's going on out there in the world. Solidarity to all people who are struggling for their freedom in this country, where so many of our rights are being taken away to try to build back up this cis heterosexual white male supremacist society. Keep struggling, keep fighting. You matter, you are valuable, and we love you, and we want to be part of community with you. And I just want to say that at the beginning of this broadcast. So starting out, of course, like I said, we are talking about the young boy Montrell Williams, who was found unalived by his father. He was 2 years old, a New York City boy who was missing for a month. He was found in the East River very sadly. His mother gave him over to his father during court-supervised visitation that was ordered. And the mother was 17, so we're looking at the father's 20 here. We're looking at potentially this child being 2. So this child was probably conceived when this woman was 15 and this guy was 18. So we're probably looking at a statutory rape situation here, which also needs to be addressed. And you know what's really sad about this is when he didn't return the child, they called the police. His family called the police multiple times and nothing was done. And the mother happened to run into him on the street and asked where he was, and he pulled a knife on her. And after pulling a knife on her, he admitted that he had thrown the child in the river after he was arrested for that. So this was something where the family was waiting to get this child back and he had unalived him. And we've talked about this previously, how our family court system does favor men. Fathers' rights groups will lie to you and say that they favor women, but they do not. As I explained last week, and I'll just do a recap. Men used to abandon their children. If the women didn't do what they wanted them to do, they would just abandon the children, and women would then get on government assistance for help. Well, the government at one point decided that it was unreasonable for them to pay for government assistance for these children if there were able-bodied men out there who had helped conceive them and had just abandoned them. So they instated child support. Once they got child support to the point where they would take it out of men's checks, that's when men started asking for custody more. And they wanted custody of these children, not because they actually wanted to be around them, but because they wanted to lessen the burden of the child support on themselves. So these aren't people who, as we know, girl children are socialized to nurture, and they're the ones who babysit and help take care of children traditionally. So men and boys typically are not socialized to take care of children. So when they are getting custody, because of the way that they are brought up, which is oftentimes, boys don't cry, not with emotional development, patience, understanding, like I said, nurturing. So they are being made primary parents when they have never been trained for that type of role, when we haven't socialized them for that. And the only reason they are taking on this role is to save money. And some of them are extremely violent. The women are going to court and telling the family court, hey, this man is violent. I got with him. He treated me like a queen. We had a baby. And then he showed me who he truly is. So I left. So now you're taking my baby, my defenseless child, and putting it in the care of this man who has not been raised to care for children, has not been taught to regulate his emotions. Men are the most violent gender. Men are the number one unalivers of everybody, including themselves. And we're just giving children to them because men want them, because they don't want to pay child support. And it's so wrong. It is a feminist issue, as I talk about, because the women want these children. The women do want their children. And they want their children alive and safe. And they're going to court, asking for the court to protect these children. And the court is going on fathers' rights to give these men visitation unsupervised visitation, men who have domestic violence charges, men who have been convicted of these crimes, as long as they don't have crimes against the children, which even then, if there's a certain amount of time that's passed, they'll still give them rights. But they're giving men who are known to be violent, accused of abuse, rights to go and see these children. And you want to know what the fallacy is in all of this? The courts assume if a man comes to, get rights to his child, then he must be a good man because he wants the children. No, he wants a discount on the child support. Men do not want to pay women child support. They don't want to give money to women that they cannot control. This is something that's been passed down. They've come, and we've talked about this with the male so-called loneliness epidemic, which I call the male laziness epidemic. Men have watched their fathers and grandfathers go out, make money, come home, and give the money to the women to take care of the household in exchange for the women being obedient or at least sticking around while he does whatever he wants to do. So women who have said, you know what, I'm not going to put up with you, I'm leaving, moving out and taking the kids, and then getting money from these men, it upsets them, it angers them, because in their mind, they should not have to financially support any woman, even if they have their kids, that they cannot have some kind of control over. And that is what they're using family court for, not to be because they want to raise these kids or want to be in their kids' lives. They still want to control the woman who got up and walked out and said, enough, I don't want to deal with you anymore. So they're using the kids. They're going to constantly bring up and try to take this person to court over petty things, constantly messaging or calling at 2 a.m. I want to talk to my kid, like playing games with the court system so that they can have some control over this woman who has said that she's had enough. And they want to punish her for having enough. They want to punish her for leaving because they grew up in a society where they watched women suffer instead of leaving. And they do not like the women who leave. They do not want to help the women with their kids who left. And this is what they are doing. And if in these extreme cases, like what happened to Montrell, if they cannot control these women, they will unalive the children. And that's why I said this is a feminist issue, because the mom cares more about the child. As much as people don't want to talk about that, typically that is the case. Motherhood traditionally is older than fatherhood. It has been socialized in women much, much longer to be parents, because there was a time, and I'm reading a book, I think it's entitled When God Was a Woman. And it's talking about how parenthood was very matriarchal for a time because we didn't, as a people, understand the role that sex played in creating babies. So for a while, they didn't even know that a man having sex with a woman is the reason a woman got pregnant. So when a woman had a baby, you couldn't always tell who the father was. So the women were raising the babies. Things were passing down through the babies from the mother. So motherhood as the institution that we know it is older than fatherhood. Fatherhood is newer, and the things that we expect from men have evolved even in the short past 100 years where women have been able to get jobs and leave bad situations. And this all needs to be taken into account when family court is looking at how visitation and stuff should be split up. They do it 50-50 because that sounds fair. But at the end of the day, men are not socialized to raise children. They are not socialized to care for children. And that's just reality. Women have been for centuries. That is something that we are taught to do. We are expected to do. Babysitting is a job that we often take on when we are very, very young. And men are unaliving children at a greater rate. That needs to be taken into account. Women do have a high rate of unaliving children in infancy when there is PPD involved. But after that, the number one unalivers of, like I said, everybody across the board, including children, is men. And that needs to be factored in because the way men are raised, the way men are socialized is not to have patience with children. Before there was a use for men's anger, and those uses are dissipating as we have more technology, more people, more machines doing manual labor than people are. Wars are being fought differently. That kind of aggression was maybe useful when somebody's getting drafted at 18 to go off to war. But now we have all these men who were raised by these aggressive men whose aggression had a purpose previously, and women had less power to leave them when they were aggressive. And now they have all this aggression and they have nothing to do with it but take it out on people who are weaker than them. And it's sad. And that is why we have the so-called male loneliness epidemic, because women don't have to be with you anymore. Women don't have to put their head down and just deal with their violence. And the ones who are likely mothers who are afraid to leave their children alone with the fathers of their children. And they're leveraging that to keep them. It's a sick cycle. And part of being free as women does include we have to free our children. That's the reality. We are the ones who are taking care of our children 9 times out of 10. That's how a lot of us end up in poverty and divorce is we take the kids. Some of us run away and don't have anything to do with the father. He disappears, whatever. But that's why we're impoverished. It's because we are taking the kids 9 times out of 10. So what happens to children also affects what happens to their mothers more than fathers. That is just a fact. So family court needs to look at that. It's so much PC stuff to try to make everything 50-50 between the genders, but everything is not 50-50 between the genders. We know that. And that needs to be factored in. Violence needs to be factored in. Children who are coming from homes where the mother says the father is violent are in a lot of danger because the mother could leave. A child can't leave their parent that's running away. They can't do that. They don't have the means to. They can't get a car. They can't get access to a hotel or something like that. So it's wrong to put them in those situations. And we need a reckoning. There is movement of mothers who I follow on Instagram. But as women, this is an issue for women too. As feminists, we need to get out in the field and also be organizing around changing family court because it does not favor us. It favors fathers. It favors violence. It favors domestic violence against women, and it favors violence against children. And rest in peace to little Montrell because he's not going to be the last victim, but it's so unfair that his family has to suffer because of the anger of a man who did not want to be a father, but also did not want to be subject to child support. So he chose to throw his child in the river instead. Moving on, because I definitely want to talk about the big story on TikTok this week. The lady who emptied her savings account to pay her husband's child support and then he ran off with her cousin. Now, I always hold men accountable on this show, but I do try to make it so that we as women, there's some basic rules you have to know. You have to unlearn misogyny. You have to unlearn the belief that men are benevolent and their word is their bond and they're going to do right. You just got to support them and give them a leg up. No, men are opportunists. They will take advantage of you. And if you are believing in them to that kind of extent, then they're going to take the most advantage of you. You have to be smart above all else. And I know we're not socialized to be smart. We're socialized to fall in love, have a Disney-fied idea of what romance is. And if you just believe and throw caution to the wind, no, you need to go get that caution back up out the wind, sister girl. Do not give men money. Do not ever give a man money. I don't care why. The only man it's acceptable to give money to is your brother if he's on hard times and he needs to pay you back. Period. But do not give a man money. Giving a man money, they despise you for giving it to you. Like a man won't even ask you for money if he really likes you because he don't want you to see him behaving like that. He's not going to do that. Do not give them money. So that's the first mistake this lady made. You give a man money, a man asks you for money, he doesn't like you. He does not like you. I don't care what anybody says. He doesn't like you. The fact that he even asked you for that money, that means he doesn't respect you. Secondly, do not marry men who are not taking care of their children. If a man has back child support, that is not the man for you. He shouldn't even be taking you on dates. You should feel bad about yourself for taking money and food and resources from his children because those kids need that money. He doesn't need to be taking you to the Cheesecake Factory. He needs to be taking his kids to Chuck E. Cheese. So you should not be dating a man who has back child support. As soon as a man tells you something like that, that needs to be number blocked. We're done. That's not the man for you. So you set those 2 rules, you avoid this whole situation altogether. I don't know what you do about the cousin. I mean, I would hope all women would not try to take somebody else's raggedy man, but we know that's not the case because so many women are male-centered. But yeah, the first 2 things, you can avoid this whole situation if you follow. And that's a rule my daddy taught me. Like, that's the thing, too. I was lucky that I had a dad that told me how men really were. He did not sugarcoat those situations. He told me how men really were. Now, the only thing I'll say I missed out on is he didn't ever tell me about emotionally or psychologically abusive men. I did know, a man was never to put his hands on me. I was never to give a man money. I was never to let a man drive my car. And those are things that I have lived by. And that a man is supposed to pay the bills in a household. Those are things that I live by. I have never allowed a man to not do those things and be with me. So at the end of the day, if nobody ever tells you anything else, the number one thing I would tell you is don't ever give a man money. If he asks you for money, block him. Because he thinks very, very little of you if he's asking you for money. A man makes more on the dollar than women do. There's a gender pay gap. Society takes men more seriously than women. If you're out here with a job and that man can't go get a job with equal or better pay, he is not the man for you. Please just know your worth, because you're going to get played and then you're going to be on the internet crying. And yes, we feel bad for you. You're still a victim. It's still wrong. But at the same time, where are your standards? Where are your standards? Have some standards as a woman, because you know that this world is not fair to you. You know that. So set some boundaries so you can protect yourself as best you can. Now, moving on to Mr. Keith Sweat, who said this week that he is not going to settle down because he can't find a woman to iron his clothes and cook and clean. Who's doing that right now? Who's ironing your clothes and cooking and cleaning for you, Mr. Sweat? I always think of that meme that somebody posted once on social media that said, ask a man to describe his ideal woman and he'll describe a slave for you. Why are those the characteristics you're looking for as a woman when you are in your late 60s? And you're looking for that from younger girls who don't iron and probably don't cook and clean just for themselves. So why you think they're going to get with you, a old man, and cook and clean and iron? There's older women. There's plenty of older pick-me church women who would be more than happy to wash your dirty drawers and iron your clothes and cook and clean. But my number one question is, who's doing that now? Why are you guys waiting for a woman to come into your life to do these things for you? Why? I mean, because if you really want a woman, then you could get a maid. You can pay for these services. If you want a woman, it has to be something that she's bringing to the table that service workers cannot bring to the table. Is it just the sex? Is that all that you want a woman for, and then you can outsource everything else? Because I'm not cooking and cleaning for anybody. No. I want to be with somebody that's going to have a maid, and my ex-husband cooked. I don't want to be cook and clean. I cook when I want to, but I don't want to feel like that's a chore in my life. I work. I like working. I'm always going to work, and I'm going to make money. But I'm not going to keep the house for a man that has millions of dollars or made a couple $1,000,000. Keith Sweat got a lot of money. I'm not moving in with Keith Sweat and be with an old man and cooking and cleaning. That's insane. That's ridiculous. Stop asking women to take bad deals. Nobody has to take your bad deals. Stop expecting that. Start dating women your own age. Why are men not dating women their own age? Oh, yes, I know. Because women their own age, they can't boss around. They think they can trick somebody 20 into ironing and washing their clothes and letting them do whatever. And women their own age, they're not going for that. No. I don't know that Keith Sweat even deserves to have a woman. He probably doesn't if he hasn't found one by this time. Usually if a man get really old and he don't have a woman, that means women are tired of his crap. So I don't wish him one particularly, but I do find it very telling that he wants to find a 20-year-old to do things that women his own age would do for him, especially because he's Keith Sweat, but he doesn't want them. And I also find it very telling that that's what he wants, is a servant rather than a lover and a companion. And do you know how we prevent our boys from growing up and becoming like that? We need to have our boys taking part in those kind of chores. And not only, if you have a man in the household, he needs to be doing them with you too. Because a lot of boys grow up in a household where they are forced to do chores, but they see their father not participating in the cleaning of the house or the cooking. So they associate that with, when I grow up, I won't have to do this because I'll have kids and I'll have a wife and they'll do it. So they think of it as childhood chores rather than something they're supposed to do, period. It to them is labor that they will eventually offset because they see their father doing that. So you need to have a household where everybody is pulling their weight and the boy children see that, because we don't want them to grow up looking for a servant. That's not what women are. That's when we talk about the male loneliness epidemic, aka the male laziness epidemic. We're talking about men who are refusing to evolve with the fact that women are not forced to stay at home, and caring for the home is not the only thing that they're allowed to do. So men have to evolve. Men have to change. If a woman's going to work and you're going to work, that means when you come home, she's going to clean up, you're going to clean up. It's not going to be just her. And we have to start that out very, very young with our boys. We have to detach them from this idea that marriage and children means live-in servants, people that worship them because they bring home the check. So they don't have to do anything else but go to work. No, you have to help care for this home too. You have to spend time with your children. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on your marriage. All of these things are a part of that. They need to understand the complexity of that package, because women are leaving now. Women are packing up, getting divorces now. Before they weren't. So yes, maybe your daddy got away with being horrible, but you're not going to. And you have to adjust and change. You have to be better than him. You have to look inside yourself and want to be better than him. And women, you have to require better. If your daddy got away with being lazy, you don't marry a husband that's going to do the same thing, because you're not going to be happy. In fact, don't get married at all. That's probably your best bet at being happy. But if you're going to get married, like I always say, get the best deal for yourself. You're going in, you are combining assets with this person. This person can financially ruin you in a divorce potentially. So don't go in just asking for the bare minimum. You get the best deal you can, sign the best contract you can. Act like you are an NBA free agent out here. Everybody wants you on their team. Take the best offer. Because if it goes bad, you need to make sure that you have something that you can fall back on. Poverty, the number one way women end up in poverty is through divorce. So don't be stupid. That's why he needs to pay all the bills, because you need to save your money. Because if you need to get out of there, you need to be able to go and get a home for you and your children. You need to be able to pay for a divorce attorney. You need to be ready for whatever there is to come. And it's okay for you to plan for those things. You need to plan for those things. 50% of marriages end in divorce. Plan for it. Don't be romantic about this. Plan for that. That's what we have to do, ladies. We are in different times now. And people are trying to roll us back to previous times. With all our talents, with what we know, with the freedom that we've had, they're trying to strip those things away from us. So if you're going to enter into something like marriage, be smart. It's okay to be smart. It's okay to be calculating. It's okay to think about what's best for yourself. You are going into situations with men who are doing that, and you're just thinking romantically. So you're being taken advantage of. Start negotiating things. Start thinking about what will get you ahead in life. You have a right to think about that. You get one life, one chance to be happy. Start thinking about what makes me happy. That's why I tell you guys every week, what are you doing for yourself? What's the one thing you're doing for yourself every day to make sure that you have 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour to yourself where you get to appreciate yourself, take part in your interests, be happy, because we take on so much labor. We do. And I'm working on getting us unsocialized out of that, but we do. So there's little things you got to do. If you've already grown up, you're like me, you're 40, it's little things you can do to start taking back your life from patriarchy. What are you doing? Talk to me. Hit me up on my Facebook page at Lipstick and Liberation. Send me an email. You can do that on the Buzzsprout page, or there's a send me a text link where you listen to podcasts. But thank you for coming back each and every week. I really, really appreciate you guys. And ladies, I just want you to focus. Focus on yourself. Take some time for yourself. You deserve it. You are worth it. Go ahead and do it. Till next time.